All right, a very, very good Saturday morning to you. If you were listening 10 minutes ago, then you already know who our next guest is because I prematurely introduced her to the show. But regardless of that, I am super excited to be headed to Spain right now for our destinations segment. That is where the lovely, talented Patty Pyburn, who's typically in this studio with us each Saturday morning, happens to be located right now in the western portion of the country. Not a lot of Americans visit this part of Spain, and so we are for you, and we've got pictures as well if you're watching us online or via the app. Patty Pyburn, welcome to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio.
Hello, Randall White. How are you?
Good. Were you watching on the app? Did you see me make the mistake 10 minutes ago?
No, because I have to tell you, you were preempted by this fabulous traditional Spanish dinner that my aunt made that has pork and beef and chicken and greens and potatoes and sausage and chorizo and everything in it, and it was amazing, and I was too busy eating.
No, well, hey, I totally understand. And the great thing about a Spanish meal is that it will last for hours. There is no fast food in Spain. I remember going to a place in Seville, and got into a restaurant, and the people next to us had already ordered. It looked like they were wrapping up. We had our full meal, and I felt like we had been there too long, and they were still going strong. So I thought, wow, I need to get into the Spanish way of eating. It's a meal is an event. It is not something you go through a drive-through.
No, and they don't understand it when you want to rush. And the same thing I found was when we were in Paris last week, everyone moves at a different pace.
Yes.
And it's almost that kind of idea like, oh, you Americans are in such a hurry. And you really just have to enjoy it. In fact, we have been out, since we've been in Spain, we've been out every night until 2 in the morning.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, because things don't even get started till later there. Don't make your dinner reservations till 10 at least, right?
That's exactly right. We've been meeting family at 9 or 10 o'clock for dinner. But you know what's really nice is this all goes along with a mid-afternoon nap, which is also not a bad lifestyle.
That's my schedule. You just named
Siesta.
it. All right, you mentioned Paris. I do want to start there because you shared some pictures on your Facebook page of a bridge called Lover's Bridge in Paris. Explain a little bit about that.
Okay, well, there's all these bridges that go over the Seine, and they're old, and they all have a story. We're learning so much about the city when we were there, but one that's really intriguing, and it's starting to spread to other bridges, but it started with one. And there's a story that if you make a wish when you're on the bridge and then you go under the bridge with your lover, you kiss the person, and then that wish is supposed to come true. Well, people have been putting padlocks on the bridge, and they have different things written on them or engraved, and they kiss and they throw the key into the water, and then that's love forever.
That's great. I
Isn't
love that.
Cute?
So they throw the key into the water and it becomes insane.
It is insane. Yes.
Never mind.
They are insanely in love.
They are insanely in love. I love that. You're very creative with your picture taking. I like the short field of focus on the one with the locks, and I don't know if your iPhone just did that randomly.
It was an iPhone, and I actually think that is Dresden, my daughter's photo that you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, and I think that's hers.
It's a beautiful picture. All right, now let's head back to where you are right now. Explain what portion of Spain you're in. Madrid is sort of dead center, right? Barcelona is in the lower right-hand corner on the Mediterranean.
So we're up at the top in the northern area near Portugal. It's Galicia, but they say Galicia.
With a like a TH, like they're lisping?
The th, yes.
Galicia.
And we are in an area that's called Pontevedra, and specifically the little fishing village that we're outside of is Cambaro. If you roll your R's, you can probably say it better than me.
Green Point?
Pardon me?
Does Pontevedra mean Green Point?
I think so. So Cambaro is a little fishing village. It's slightly reminiscent of Morro Bay.
Oh, okay.
That right on the water kind of, fishing is the business. But it's the architecture, the old stone houses built one on top of the other. Lanes, there are some lanes that look too small for cars to drive on, although they do navigate them. But there are lanes within this little village that you can just walk on. You could reach from arm to arm and touch the buildings on either side.
That's amazing. You find that in Europe, these little passageways, because they weren't designed for automobiles to pass through back in the day, And
they have cartwheels, grooves worn into the stone pathways. Randall, we were taken by my aunt and uncle, who, by the way, have an amazing rental cottage. You can find it on HomeAway.com. That is, I can't even describe it to you.
We'll post a link, and we have some pictures that people can see if they're watching online.
Right. So they took us to this down a couple of twisty-turny lanes in the middle of this village, and we went to Vicenne's house. It's Vicenne As Viegas. It's not something you would find normally. He makes his own liqueurs and wines in unlabeled bottles. He basically we had a family meal. He said, here's what we're having tonight. We sat on his patio, and he served us a meal. It was the cheapest meal we've had, but probably one of the most delicious meals we've had. And it was tortilla, which is different. It's not what you think of, but a Spanish tortilla is made out of eggs and potatoes. It's almost like a frittata.
Oh, okay.
The peppers were grown in his garden that were right next to the table we were eating at. Mm-hmm. I'm not a tomato eater, but these tomatoes were amazing.
You're not a tomato eater, so if Patty is raving about the tomatoes, you know they were good.
He picked them right out of his garden. He's growing his own onions and everything. And it's funny because, we're now in the United States coming into this idea of having more urban gardens and growing your own things.
Yeah.
But these people in this area never stopped doing that, and dotted all throughout all these houses are little gardens everywhere. And I said, well, what's going on here? And my aunt says, oh, well, that's where they grow their food.
Right. That's fantastic. And we shared some of those pictures. I believe the pictures we have online are of this meal you're discussing.
Yes, it is.
And that's one of the bottles of wine on the table. Wine is served with just about every meal, and it's called just the village wine or the people's wine. There's no
I asked the Vicenne, the owner, I said, we were speaking sort of a Spanglish, if you will. I was trying out my Spanish. He was trying out his English. And I asked him what the wine was. I wanted to know if I could buy it. He was almost offended. No, he only serves it at his bar restaurant, which is his home. And he doesn't sell it unless you want to drink it right there on his patio. And I said, well, what's it called? And he said, Vino Blanco.
White wine.
Like, what else would you call it?
It's similar.
And from his grapes that are growing next to his house, and he makes his own wine.
It's similar to the small brew pubs we have popping up all over California and America today, where you can only get the beer there at the place where you're eating. In this case, it's wine, and it's a restaurant first, and then the wine comes second, but they serve their own. And you're right, it's delicious, and in some cases, it comes in a big clay pitcher. Which is a lot of fun, too. I love when wine comes in a pitcher.
Yeah. So it's just one of those amazing things if you kind of get off the beaten path, and especially if you know someone in the area, you get clued into things that are not where all the tourists go. And this is just such a beautiful area, and we're spotted for tourists immediately. I can't tell you, people come up to my aunt and uncle and say, oh, Americanos.
Do they mention something about you that, is it because Quillen's wearing sweatpants, or is there one specific thing that they can spot an American?
Yes, Quillen, actually, my son observed that he was the only person he had seen on our trip wearing basketball shorts, athletic shorts, long past the knees.
Right.
Or a hoodie. I haven't seen anyone except the American kids wearing hoodies, and he's wearing his Arroyo Grande high school hoodie. So we do completely stand out here. And it's funny, but in the area that we're in, the people are friendly, and they're intrigued. They want to talk to us, and they want to try out their English. And I've actually been realizing I know more Spanish than I thought I did. Yeah,
well, living in California as long as you have and growing up in Arizona, you just have a natural backlog of words in your head, lexicon, I guess. So along the Mediterranean coast, down by like Malaga and Valencia, there are a lot of British expatriates that move there when they retire because of the climate there along the Mediterranean. There isn't much of that in northwestern Spain?
Not as much. I've seen a couple where we actually heard someone speaking English, and we said, oh my gosh, that guy over there with the sweater tied around his neck looking really distinguished is speaking English. That really sticks out. And then we saw another gentleman driving a Porsche with the steering wheel on the other side. Here they drive just like we do, but in England they were all driving on the other side with the steering wheel on the other side. So this was a English Porsche, and the guy was, zooming up the coast. So there are a few, but it really is just, locals. They're people who are living like they have for centuries, fishing, and we've been to some amazing places. There's this incredible market here in Pontevedra where it's all fresh seafood that's gotten right here, brought right off the shore, and it was just, I was looking here, I thought, oh, I want that, no, I want that, no, I want to make that.
And that's the choices. Atlantic, right? You're up against the Atlantic.
Yes, we are on the Atlantic.
So you've been to two large cities, London and then Paris, and now you're in this quaint countryside. You have a couple of teenagers with you. Which do they prefer at this point?
My son said, Quillen said to me, if we come back here, I would like to not do so many things, and I want to come back here to this exact town and maybe do one other city, because when we were in London and Paris, we were at such a pace to run around and see the Louvre and see Versailles and see the Tower, and it's a mix between, am I enjoying this, or am I just doing this to say I went here and I went here and I went here.
I saw the Mona Lisa.
The pace here is so much slower and relaxed and really enjoyable. We've had some incredible meals. The food is, not what we're used to, so it's delicious.
They fry the whole fish.
Yeah, exactly. And, a couple of they serve fish all the time, and we were asking, well, what is this? What is this? And they're, I don't know, we caught it right over there. We're not sure what it is, but it's good.
Well, Patty, I got to stop you right there. Your son, always wise beyond his years, for sure, because he just summarized how I would like to do my next European vacation, and that is to just spend a couple of weeks in one location and not run around and just absorb the area. Patty Pyburn, live in Western Europe. We can't wait to see you when you return. And don't even think about getting us any gifts, but I'm a large.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Patty. Up next, our popular travel deals segment. And this week, we're getting the skinny on good cruise bargains. We're headed back to Europe, actually. Back in a moment. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is